passe. Super, l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De i semifinale igjen!
Bianca Bazaliu smacks home a game-winning goal from 15 metres in the final seconds for Romania, delivering a big old dose of handball cosmic karma if you're a Poland fan. Alina Grijseels and Emily Bölk share their thoughts on Germany's victory over Netherlands, another one that turned the tables in Group 2. We take a look at 5 of the top contenders for the semi-finals and talking about what they need to do to reach the semi-finals and perhaps gold. We speak to France's Zaadi ahead of Sunday's big showdown against Montenegro, and we try to record the opening bit 3 times over the course of 10 hours, all in the latest Uninformed Handball Hour.
Take three, yes. We've tried this 2 times already, and this is the 3rd time. Hopefully this one will work. Well, yesterday was one of the most memorable days you could have at an EHF Euro. We had Germany, the team that none of us put down as medal contenders, suddenly putting in a medal contending performance against the Netherlands, beating them 36-28, shocking everybody and destroying all of our predictions in the process. And then we had Romania, which is going to be a highlight for many, many years to come. That final goal from way out with 3 seconds to go, winning 28-27 over Spain. Now that you've had time to sleep on it, Chris, how do you reflect on those 2 games?
Unexpected time to sleep on it. Well, that 15-metre goal, the Thunder Bastard from Bianca Bazaliu is still fresh in the memory. And what a way to finish it. The Polish fans must have really been enjoying that, like a real slice of handball karma. The cosmic justice was really served last night if you're Polish looking at that game. And Spain, yeah, they did what they needed to get 2 points into the main round, but they couldn't add 2 more. And great for Romania. There was a really mature performance from both teams coming into the main round with 0 points. I don't know if that lifts a bit of the pressure for them. For Romania, generally in the recent years in the main round, they haven't been able to do anything, whether it's World Championship or European Championship. But this definitely gives them some kind of outside hope, and finishing top 8 or top 6 and trying to get an Olympic qualification place. There's life in the old dog left.
Yes, and that group now has turned into an absolutely fascinating group with France and Montenegro. Maybe thinking that maybe a tie isn't so bad after all, putting them both nicely ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
But it's just thrown it all wide open. And I'm not sure what the best result between France and Montenegro would be for the neutrals.
Probably one team winning, maybe a team like France winning, and then that throws it wide open then, makes it really a 5-way race for one spot in the semi-final. It definitely probably adds a bit of nerves to the game, that's for sure. I don't think anyone, like the 2 teams as well, would have been expecting it to be to have so many teams breathing down their neck before they even play a game in the main round. But yeah, it's kind of shocking stuff in the end. And the Netherlands as well, losing to Germany very heavily. And you're speaking to Alina Grijseels and Emily Bölk, which we'll play in just a minute after the game. They looked a little bit lost on court. You were down there courtside for most of the game. What was your impression being there?
Well, it seemed, I think the German team coming from Podgorica had a pretty tough time in terms of they weren't happy with how they were playing and just nothing seemed to click for them. But it did seem probably like a fresh start when they came to Skopje psychologically, and they came here, new city, new goals, and did really look like a new team. It's incredible to think of the performance that they put in against Spain in the first half, and then they come and do that against the Netherlands in the first half, and then their second half of performance was even better. And the Netherlands looked stressed, looked like they were chasing it, and Germany were just able to capitalize. And they really have a group of some really kind of tough characters, and like Zena Smits, Emily Bölk, and Alina Grijseels are just, there's no let up with them. And so then I spoke to Alina Grijseels and Emily Bölk, who combined scored 12 goals on the evening. Alina with 8 and Emily with 4. They gave their thoughts on the match and everything in the lead up to it.
If I told you before the game that you were going to beat the Netherlands by that much, would you believe me?
Yeah, it was a hard game. We know of our chance, of course, against the Netherlands, and we have nothing to lose. So that was a good point for us. And I think, in the attack we was good. We make some easy goals that help us to come in the game. And I think it was a development from the premier round. And we are happy about 2 points.
What was your plan coming into it? And were you able to make that plan or a realization, or was it what you expected, or what was your preparation for the game?
Yeah, we know that we have a good 1-against-1 players, and that the Netherlands play a little bit defend than Spain. So it was better for us, and we know that we use the easy goals. It was important for us, and we make it.
So you said about the kind of poorish start you had to the Euro, and now you have this unbelievable performance. That must feel like great momentum now going into the next games. Yeah,
of course we want to play the next games also like this. Of course it is like this, and we was not satisfied with our performance before. So we want to play more like this, like today.
I know you know your coach pretty well. What's he going to say to you when you go into the dressing room? What kind of guy is he after games like this?
He will say we play good. We have to play like this every game, and with our heart, and that is nothing over, and that we have the chance also in the main round, and we use it.
So some dreaming of the semi-final maybe?
No, I think we watch from game to game now at Camp France, and France is not like going through and we beat them. So we focus and we use the 3 days of recuperation, and then we look what can happen against France.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
We recorded a podcast before this, and we didn't include you in the in the semi-final chat, and we're very sorry for that. But now I think we might have to after a performance like that.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's the handball we want to play, like we showed today. So it was a big relief, I think, for all of us that we showed what we are able to perform on the field, and I hope that we can continue like this. Yeah.
I think it was obviously a very hard time for you collectively, mentally, with the performances you had in Podgorica, but now a new city. A big performance like that, I think it's going to be totally different from here on out.
I hope so, yes. Of course, we planned differently. It's really hard to come in the main round with 0 points. And we had really a hard time in the pre-round. Yes, it was really tough matches, a lot of fighting, and today we could really play the ball and wait until the chance, and everybody really attacked the goal. So it was, I think, harder for the defense, for the Netherlands. And I hope that we continue like this. It was a great team performance, and we have 2 more tough matches ahead. We will see what we can do there.
And France obviously had a lot of a tougher time against the Netherlands than obviously you did today. You'll probably take a bit of confidence from that as well.
Yes, I hope that we can take the good feeling from today. Now we have some rest days I hope to get the full energy back, and then of course France is one of the best teams in the world, so we're gonna be have a really tough match there, and they of course focus on the semi-finals and the medals. But yes, we want to be a strong opponent against them, and of course if we want to have any chance in the tournament, we need all the points we can get. So we're gonna fight, and let's see what these 2 matches will bring.
And from your perspective, what's the thing that France does really, really well?
I think they have the greatest defense, combined with the goalkeepers, of course, really experienced players, and of course they like every tournament they play for the medal, so they are really experienced also on this level, and be calm and are very valuable in attack also. So they have great one-against-one players. They have like a great overview on the field, good back players also. So you cannot say there's some weak points, but I think if we can play like today, really as a team and share the tasks, then you have always a chance.
And of course you have 3 days off now. I think had you lost this today, going into those 3 days off, it would have been a lot more gloomy. But now you're going to have a spring in your step with that performance like that. So what's the plan for those 3 days now? Will it be a lot of rest or recuperation, or will it be straight back to the training court, or what's the plan?
I think now it's finally time also to really rest. I think tomorrow will be like 100% recovery. I don't know exactly the schedule yet, but maybe also having a real power training again to come back to the strength, and a lot of physio and massage hours, I think. And then, of course, we will also go on the field and prepare for the last 2 matches, because we have also the late Tuesday match and then the early Wednesday match. It's not even 20 hours, I think, between these 2 matches. So we really need to prepare for both opponents and be on 100% to be on this level like today.
Would you be allowed 1 beer tonight, or is that impossible?
Let's see. I'm not a fan of beer, but I think the coaches will have, yes.
Okay, good answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
All right, that's Germany, and as Brian said, we recorded a bit before that game and didn't include Germany in the running. In fact, the 2 games that happened on Friday night kind of spoiled everything we had planned. We tried to be smart for the first time ever and record a more general podcast beforehand. We tried to play the system a bit like Spain did. Spain got their asses bit a couple of days later, and the same happened to us almost immediately afterwards as Romania and Germany plunged themselves into title contention. So we're reshaping the bit we recorded for part 2. Now, welcome to the new part 1 of the teams that could get a medal at the Women's EHF Euro 2022. And let's say some of the more obvious teams, 5 teams that are in very good positions to qualify for the semi-finals. We had a chat about them and the what they need to do between now and the semi-finals to get there, and what they need to push them over the line to win a gold.
We are a few games into the main round, and things are starting to get interesting. There's going to be a lot of big games coming up. But we thought for this podcast, we'd approach it in a slightly different way. Because at this stage, we kind of know what teams are going for medals. You know, the teams that are emerging, that are going to really challenge for those semi-final places and more. So we decided to deep dive into some of these teams and understand what they have to do more of, what do they have to do less of, or do they just keep going to get a medal? So at this stage of a championship, it's usually relatively clear who the big favourites are. We probably could have picked a few of them out before the tournament. Not much has changed, but the interesting part is we've seen these teams in action for 3 or 4 games already, and a few kinks have showed up. Maybe a few surprises showed up. So, you know, Montenegro are probably exceeding a lot of expectations. Are Slovenia a medal contender? But maybe we won't focus on them yet. We'll go through team by team and see what they really need to change to get a medal. And I want you to also think a bit bigger than that. Each team we go through, I'm going to go and say, you know, what this team needs to do to get a medal, that's one level. And what this team needs to do to get a gold medal, if there's anything any of these teams do. So have a think of that. I can start.
Who are you going to start with?
So the team to start with is quite easy. Norway. Don't change anything.
You really stacked the deck, didn't you, in your favour for this podcast? All right.
So Chris, you're next.
I do have some. As we've talked about it a little bit, it's hard to judge Norway at the moment because they've had a fairly easy run through the preliminary round. You know, we saw Croatia, who kind of stood a bit of a challenge against them. They lost fairly easily to Slovenia, so it kind of puts into perspective that the strength of that group. Although Hungary did almost almost pull out a win against Denmark, but in classic style. They bottled it, as always. So for me, there's a couple of things to look out for, I think, for Norway as they start that gauntlet in the main round against Denmark, Sweden and Slovenia. And the main thing for me is their depth at right back. So this team, like the Norwegian team, has always been famous for its depth. They have 2 players for every position. That's just, it's given. They can put anyone in. But I think it's a little bit thin at right back. And of course, it's Nora Mørk there, who time and time again has showed up at tournaments, dragged teams to finals, to medals. That's for sure. But so far in the tournament, she has only had 8 shots from open play, scoring 5 of them across 3 games. She has 15 assists on top of that. But I think we'll need to see a lot more from her as we get into the crux, into the tight games. And, we know that Nora Mørk is this heart of a champion, but she's kind of a lot of injuries, maybe catching up with her. Is it something to worry about? What do you guys?
I don't think so. I think with Nora Mørk, she's a player who just came back into full fitness before the championship. So she's kind of been, she went out pretty hard at the start of the championship, but I still think she's maybe holding something in reserve or being tactically held back in reserve. And I had a chance to have a quick chat with Daniel Högland, a friend of the show, a man who's featured in our opening audio bed. He's commentating for Viaplay in Norway. And he said the big thing he's worried about so far is that the starting team, the best team in defense is not the best team in attack. So they're, instead of having to rotate so many players in and out, they're trying to find solutions in there, and one of those is putting is related to Stine Skogrand, who has been a bit of an unheralded champion for Norway in recent years. She's played a big part in Euro victories in recent years, and she is that second choice right back. She's the best defender on that right hand side of the court, and so she's kind of being tucked away in the right wing in attack. Well, maybe there is a time where Nora Mørk should just be given a bit of a break, or maybe pushed out to the right wing. And Stine Skograd could play both ways, at right back in attack and number 2 on the right-hand side in defence. So that could be a solution there.
Yeah, again, with Norway, it's always difficult to find a weakness. But looking at the other positions, at left back, at playmaker, they have stars on stars. As a line player may have been something to worry about with Dale missing, but again, Vilde Ingstad has had an incredible tournament so far. So I still think, Nora can turn it on, but I think there's a lot of pressure on her to be extremely consistent at the very high level that she always performs. I'm not doubting her that she's not going to be good, but I think she needs to be excellent as always. And so far, she has taken it relatively easy. Most of her goals coming from the 7-meter line. As good spreading the play as well, 15 assists. So that will keep coming. But as defenses get better, as the teams they start facing improve, and for Norway, when we're talking about what they need to get a medal, I'm talking about what they need to get a gold medal here. And if the defenses start dropping a little bit back on her, challenging her to shoot or break through, she has to step up to it. And she is capable of it. That's for sure. But right now, we haven't seen that's too much in the tournament. And that's just going to have to ramp up.
The good thing for them, and something that I've been a little bit worried, and we talked about that, was the strength and depth not really being shown yet. But when looking at the amount of minutes that the team has played so far, only 4 players have played over 100 minutes of a potential 180 minutes. So maybe even if the strength and depth is not really there, those that need to be there at the end of the championship are being given enough protection early on, so they're not being overused at this early stage. So maybe they will just end up using 8 or 9 players in the semi-final and final, and that'll be enough for them.
But let's move on maybe from Norway's is a classic contender. They're going to be there and thereabouts. Let's see as they progress through the main round. I think we'll know a lot more. Who wants to go next and bring up a team that what they need to do to get a medal?
Let's see their opponents in the final, France.
All right, France. Yes. Again, I mean, when we decided which teams we were going to go for doing this, it was like I got France, and I was thinking, similar to what Alex was saying, yeah, just keep on going. Things so far so good. I was thinking about the games which I've seen, and I do think there are maybe 1 or 2 areas which could be. I'll maybe start with the good stuff first. I think the stuff that they've done really well. Of course, the goalkeeper position before the tournament was a big question mark. I mean, mostly the second position goalkeeper, the sub goalkeeper, with Cleopatra Darlot taking the main role there. And she's been really, really incredible so far. And particularly against the Dutch, she gave them massive confidence with her saves, and the points which she made the saves, it always kind of felt like this is close, but it's really, really in control here. And their ability to be able to weather pressure like that from a team like the Dutch, who were really, really up for it, was a huge positive takeaway from that. So defensively, goalkeepers and their ability to absorb pressure are things which they should continue to keep on fostering. A player like Pauletta Fopa, I think, is a great player who can really turn the screw at certain moments in the game, because there was a few points in different games where I felt like, oh, this is getting tight now. She'd get the ball on the line, just absolutely turn and send the defender flying and net a goal. And she could be that key player if they are going to go on and win gold. She could be one which people maybe didn't think of at the first point, because everyone's thinking of Enzimenko or Darlot or whoever else, but she could be really quintessential in them winning gold if they do win gold, in my opinion. I remember there was a point just before the end of the first half against the Dutch where she scored, I think, 2 quick goals, and it was just so key in the tone of the whole match. And I've seen her do that a few times already at this tournament, so she could be good. I think where you probably then look at the imperfections maybe would be the wing position, or wings position. There, when you would think back to other events with France playing, you'd think of someone like Chloe Valentini, who would often go 3/4 of the competition on 100%, and this time out maybe doesn't look. It looks like she's maybe lacking a bit of confidence, maybe second guessing herself when it comes to shooting, and her shooting percentage isn't great. Or Granier, who had a terrible performance against Macedonia, I think hit the keeper's face more times than she hit the back of the net. So that is a position, I think, where people, some French fans especially, are thinking maybe that's where that's probably our chink in the armor, is our indecisiveness maybe from wing positions. Someone like Oceane Ugalan is, I think, she's a bit of a mixed bag, because one minute you're looking at her and you're thinking, oh, she's got a goal out of nowhere, and the next minute she just makes an absolute terrible decision, or she loses the ball, or she'll throw it out over the sideline or something like that. So she's just kind of like, I'm not really sure where to sit on her in the team, because if you came into the game for 10 minutes, you think, oh, she's great, you leave, you go again, you go, oh, she's a great player, and you come in back, someone else comes in 10 minutes later, watches her thinking, how does she even get in the French team? So she's a bit all over the map. She would need to, I think, kind of become a little bit more consistent if she wants to, first of all, get the minutes she would like to get, and second of all, I think France would need her to be more consistent if they want to get that gold medal. So that'd be my basically pluses and negatives of this French team.
But so for them to get a gold medal, which one would you say is what's the most important thing? And we're talking about, for them to beat Norway, what's the most important thing that they need to do to get that gold medal?
I think the backcourt has looked really good. And I think they've kind of made up for a lot of the maybe indecisiveness from the wing position. So I think the wings would be the big one. Because if the wings are on fire, backcourt looks good, and then you have Fopa on the line, I think that's a killer team there.
I have a slightly flipped view on that. I think you mentioned that the backcourt has looked good, and they have, absolutely. They're shooting really well. But I think they need even better performances from their stars. So from Enzaminko, Zaadi, even Kanor. These players need to raise it to just a level above. And, you spoke to Enzaminko the other day, and she was shut down by the Netherlands. She was frustrated that she couldn't quite get her one-on-one game going. And in a sense, if that continues to happen, the weakness on the wings and, the other weakened positions may be taken advantage of. But if she can really kind of step up and just destroy people one-to-one, as we see her doing many, many times, and do that continually, that could be the difference maker here.
I mean, I think she was shut down, but I think she didn't kind of really hurt the team in any way. Like, I think she was 4 from 4 from that game still. So it's not like she was launching balls all over the place. So, like, despite the fact she would play like poorly and didn't really get maybe her one-on-one game off, she doesn't really, I think, harm the team. So up hitting around 90% in efficiency, I think you can't really blame her.
It's pretty remarkable that she's the only player on the team who has scored more than 10 goals so far. So France have 15 different goal scorers from the preliminary round. She's the only one who's scored more than 10, and they've spread the load out really well. I wonder if that has a little bit to do with, of course, a whole championship and keeping players fresh, but also if we remember back to the World Championship final last year, and where they tried all these different combinations in the backcourt when the game was getting away from them, if they were like, okay, actually we can't afford to focus on 2 or 3 players to get us over the line. We need all of these players getting enough game time so they can all be ready for the semi-finals and the finals, because that has also been in the successful championships for France, it's always been their ability to completely rotate a team out, rotate the bench after 15 minutes and still be fine. And maybe that's what they're trying to get back to. So they don't need just the stars to raise their game, but they're going to beat teams by having the most well-rounded team and based on the defensive strength. But we'll see.
We will.
Okay, so I've made my points on I think what France can do better and what they do really well. But I did have a chance to sit down with an engine in this French team, Zaadi. She took some time out to talk to me for a few minutes during their media call. So here's our conversation. So thank you for taking the time. Oh, someone's looking for you.
T'as pas vu Diane?
Elle est repartie dans le... T'as tué notre interview, là? Pardon? T'as tué notre interview, c'est enregistré.
Oh, merde.
Who's that?
Our physical coach.
Is he a good one? Yeah? Oh, you're officially recording us.
That's why.
So you've had a pretty good start to the Euro. And I think you guys have joked about in the past that at certain events you maybe are slow starters. Was there a different approach this time, or is that something conscious you did, or you just hit the ground running this time?
Honestly, I hate to say that, but it's the truth that usually we are slow starters, and now I don't think that we had a different approach of the competition. I think. I don't really know. I was also a little bit surprised because I didn't expect us at this level, at this moment, so early, in the competition. But I'm happy and proud because we show also some strong things, and we have a good base, I think, in our way to play. But we didn't have a specific approach. I think we enter in this competition like we used to. What was different? Honestly, I don't know.
You have I think it's fair to say, a very deep squad. You have a lot of players who can come off the bench. Has there been like a plan to kind of use or rotate a lot of the players off the bench right now and keep certain players back for later, or is that something that you're not told?
Yes, we speak about this because in the past we had not a bad experience, but we made some mistake. I remember a few competitions where we used some player a lot, and at the end, when we arrived in the final games, they were exhausted and couldn't give at the most important moment. And we have a very strong and deep squad. Everybody can play, and it's very important to rotate like we actually do, because first point is that everybody will be in the rhythm. Everybody is ready to play every time, and this is very important to have the full squad focus every time. And of course, for example, me, I rotate a lot, specifically in defense, and I have more energy. I feel that I'm not tired like I could be, for example, like last competition in the World Championship. So I think it's something that we want to follow because we know that it's important.
So you notice personally a big difference between this Euro and maybe other events?
Yeah. In comparison with the World Championship, I remember that when I arrived in the semi-final, I was already tired because I played a lot. We had a difficult games in the first round, and I played a lot in attack and in defense. And I was not disappointed, but when I wanted to give more to my team, even in the final against Norway, I couldn't because I was exhausted. And I can feel the difference. When I speak with the girls, I say that, okay, now I feel good. I don't feel this body tiredness. For the moment, I'm okay, yeah.
And did you watch the games last night? So the Germany, Netherlands and Romania,
Spain.
Sorry.
yeah, we watch the game every time when there is handball games. Yeah. We watch it together, and crazy night. Crazy night.
Like when you see games like that, I mean, I think nobody expected those results. Everyone would have almost picked the opposite results. Is that good for the youth in the group? Because now you might look at the Montenegro game and think, okay, if we win now, we're really putting our foot now in the semi-final, or is it chaos that you don't like to see sometimes?
Before this yesterday's night, sorry, we knew that Montenegro will be like a crucial game for us for the next of the competition, and I see this game like an eighth final, to say how much is important to win against them, and for them also it's the same. So it will be a tough game. I know that, and I know that everything can happen because before I feel that difference was very big between some teams, but now I feel that everybody can beat everybody every time, and this make the tournament more, I think, exciting, but also it shows how strong we should be to win every game, because it's very difficult to keep this rhythm. It's very difficult because all teams are different, but there are some positive things, some skills, and if you are not ready, you know that you can lose.
So they obviously played at home for the preliminary round and then coming here, and I think some of those images coming from the fans there have been some of the best images so far. I mean, I was getting goosebumps watching videos and I wasn't even in the arena.
Yeah.
And you've played obviously home tournaments as well. What do you think that group, and obviously you can't answer for them, but you could maybe give me an idea, them coming from having had that experience, then coming here, not playing at home, and I'm sure they'll have fans with them, but it won't be quite the same thing. Do you think that maybe psychologically that will make a bit of an effect on them?
I don't know if it will make a big effect on them, but it will be different, I think. And I remember when we played the European Championship at home, we took a lot of energy for the public, from the fans, and I know some Montenegrin players, and I know how they work, and I know how they are, and for them to play home in the country, it pushed them a lot to win those games. Now it will be a little bit different, even if they have fans, who comes. And it will be important for us also to put some high tempo from the beginning, to not let them come with this energy, because I know they will have fans who will come. Montenegro is not far from Macedonia, and yes, they probably can give you, the answer, but I think it will be different for them.
Yeah, I think they've had the opposite what you've done. I mean, you've been rotating a lot, and you've purposely said, we want to keep people fresh for the end, and I think they've only have 8 players who've scored, so they've had the opposite thing. So it's hard to say whether that's going to affect them right now, but you'd imagine it's a hard thing to keep going only playing with 8 players, isn't it?
I think they have, like us, 3 days to rest, so they can rebuild some things. They can have also good recovery, like we actually do. But for example, as you said, it's the opposite, that the way how we functioned here, and yes, if for example we arrive to disturb those players who used to play, when they will rotate, it will be, or for example a player who come from the bench will do everything and will surprise us, or this player will be lost because this player doesn't used to play, and for us also it will be very important, because we need to make them fail, because they use also to play together, and this can be also a strength for them, where France national team used to rotate, and some relationships are not so perfect, but I hope we have the good pattern of these things. Yeah.
We were talking on the podcast with my other 2 colleagues about all the teams that could go and win gold at this Euro, and what they need to do in terms of what they're doing well and what they maybe could be doing better. And with teams like yourselves and Norway, it was very hard to find weaknesses from my perspective looking in. But maybe you could give me a bit of an insight. Is there anything that you think as a team you could be doing a little bit better?
Yeah.
But you can't tell me, because then the other team is... Is that it? Or is there stuff you could mention that you think maybe, okay, we could be doing a bit better here on this part of the court, or...
I think it's not a secret. But for example, when I see our game against Netherlands, we missed a lot of shots, for example, and we know that we need to be better at this because on a tight game, those goals that we missed, we will pay it at the end. And I remember the final in 2020 in Denmark against Norway. I remember that our defense was very good, but in attack we didn't arrive to save. To score. Sorry, we had good goalkeeper. We played against also strong goalkeeper who made the difference. But yes, we need to just level up, I think, at this point. But I'm not worried, because if we go till the end, we still have 5 games, I think, so we can do better. But I feel that we are strong. There is a good energy in our team. We are stable, I think.
Yeah. A big question for people coming into the tournament was about the goalkeeper position, and people maybe thought, oh, maybe there was a slight weakness there. But how Cleopatra Darlot is playing so far, she's playing an incredible tournament. It seemed like to me that she gives the defence a huge amount of confidence, and even though the game against the Netherlands was very close, there was almost this kind of calmness about how you were, even though there was pressure on, but you didn't wilt under that pressure. And I think she in the defence, or the back of the defence, gives you a lot of security. Does that how it feels for you as well?
Yeah, definitely. Calmness, I think it was the word. Against the Netherlands, because we had some critical, I think, moment where we could have big doubt, but we stay, I think, stable, strong, and confident, because we trust a lot in our goalkeepers, and we know that if we we are good in defense. Behind, it would be difficult to score goals against Cleopatra, for example, who is just she's crazy. Honestly, she it's sometimes I feel like handball is so easy when you have this kind of goalkeepers.
Yeah.
But I think in France national team, we used to have good goalkeepers, and this also gives us, I think, calmness, because we trust in a lot. We want to protect them, but we know that when we need some air, they will make some saves who will give us energy, and we help us to go to a fast break and score.
Yeah, because it felt like she had the wingers in her pocket, the Dutch wingers, at one point in the game, and I felt like that made such a huge difference. And there was one point also before the first half ended, I think she was making a few saves and then fought upon the line. I think she scored 2 quick goals, and it really felt like that was a turning point for me, and it was incredible to see that. So if you were a school teacher and you had to give your team like a mark of how you're doing so far, what would you give the squad?
Why it's difficult.
How do you do marks in France? Is it ABC or is it 1, 2, 3, 4 or?
ABC.
ABC, okay.
ABC. Or 1, 2, 3. I don't know. ABC. 1, 2, 3. Honestly, it's very difficult.
Yeah, you don't want to say A because then you've nowhere to go.
Yeah. But I think first thing for me it's about unity, because in France national team we don't have superstar. We don't have this player who can just turn the game alone. Every game for us it changed. I think at each position we have a strong players. Okay, we have leaders in our team, but we know that without the team we cannot win. We cannot exist, even exist without the team. And this is very important, and this is something that we should keep. So unity, trust also. And about handball things, I think, this is difficult. Basic things.
Yeah.
Because for me, basic things works every time. And sometimes I feel that when we play, we want to play, yes, not crazy things because, okay, this is not circus. But I think, yes, when we have hard times, basic things, this can help us to score, can help us to defend. Yes. This is what I would like to say.
Okay, good. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And best of luck for the rest of the tournament.
Keep your finger crossed for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
What about you, Chris?
What's next?
You can pick one now.
What do you want, Sweden or Montenegro?
Let's go for Montenegro first.
What Montenegro have to do? Beat Romania and Netherlands. As we spoke about a few days ago. But how, you may ask? Well, here's the key for me. They need to phone it in against the team we just spoke about, France. They need to not play that game. They only have 8 players who've scored goals in this championship. And basically you're just focusing on those 8 players in the court, right? They need to use the days they have of rest now, so they're not playing. They haven't played today, and they're waiting for France on Sunday. They need to rest a little more, and of course they'll get the first team out against France. See how they do. Give it a shot. If it's not going well, rotate the bench and see if somebody shines. See if players 9 to 14 can come out T-Rex and style and make a claim to get some more game time for the rest of the championship. Because these 8 players have played more than 2 hours so far in this championship, which is an awful lot. It's all going to come down to the game against the Netherlands. We'll assume they'll be okay against Romania. They'll come out on top, or they'll get a draw, which will be enough as well. It's all about the Netherlands and facing their old pal, Per Johansson, the former coach of Montenegro. He knows them well, but they also know him well. And there are very few coaches, I think, in handball where irritating a coach can have a direct impact on the rest of the team. And I think this is the case with Per Johansson. They know about his fiery temperament. They know what he likes, but they know what he doesn't like. And they know what he doesn't like to see in his own team. So they need to figure out what irritates him and make that happen in the first half. Whether it's through shithousery or certain tactics, I'm sure they will figure it out. But it is a little bit of a worry for me that they are only using 8 players. And it's, the 2 wings, Radicevic and Pavicevic, who are playing the whole time. Then they have 4 backcourt players and 2 line players. That is really not sustainable. So hopefully they'll have a chance to regroup now in these days, phone it in against France, and then focus on Netherlands. They'll get through that, and then it's in the handball god's hands what happens in the final weekend. How will they get gold? Shithousery. That's how they'll get gold.
I like that. I like that. I like that as a plan.
That would be my plan.
But would you be scared that, you lose momentum? Momentum is a big thing in handball. And right now, Montenegro's momentum is at an all-time high coming out of Podgorica there. And it could kind of set them back down to earth.
They do have momentum, but they're also a team that are able to pull out, I think they reset to 0 every single time. It doesn't matter when I've seen Montenegro play, whether it's a 7th, 8th place playoff, whether it's a qualifier, whether it's a friendly match. They always, when they have the right characters in there, they get fired up and they're able to make a game of it. If they're out of the running, they're still there. They would live on knocking another team's chances, destroying another team's chances of progressing. So they figure it out. I wouldn't be so worried about it. They're probably realizing they're not going to win all 3 games in the main round, and a loss to France would be acceptable. So, of course, none of those players will want to come off against France, which is kind of the flip problem. Like, Jovanka Radicevic is not going to want to rest for 1 second. Rajcevic and Jokovic are not going to want to rest, particularly Georgina Jokovic playing against a bunch of players she plays against in the French league all the time. That's going to be a bigger issue, almost making them rest if things aren't going well in that France game. If there's someone for that job, it is Bojana Popovic. I think she has the full respect of those players.
I think to get a gold medal, they all need to pull their sleeves up like Bojana Popovic and intimidate the teams they're playing in the semi-final and onwards.
I think shithousery, and also bring along a few thousand of those ultras as well from Montenegro, and then we'll have a good time here in Scotland. All right, Alex, what's your next team then?
I've got Denmark, and they're in a pretty good position. They're probably medal favourites going into the tournament, but they've had their ups and downs, extreme ups and downs throughout the tournament. So it's there's a lot of things that they can get better at, actually. But I've pinpointed 2. One is they need to shoot from 9 meters to stand a chance of progressing and getting a medal, because they just haven't. The back players haven't been their main players. Their goals have come primarily from the wing and the line. So 59% of their goals have come from their wings and the line players. And as always, we talk about, this Denmark team as a unit, so they don't really have that player to step up and dominate a game like we see, Christian Yagu against North Macedonia. There's no one who's going to do that. But they need to at least try at times, especially when things get tight, which they will. And I'm surprised that they're even getting the ball to the line so much. The line players have done pretty well. Heindal and the Iversen sisters have done pretty well, but as defenses get smarter, they can just stand back, because Anna Mette Hansen hasn't jumped once in this competition. It feels like she hasn't jumped once in this competition, at least.
Oh, she had one good highlight. There was one great goal she scored, but I think it was probably the only jump shot she took the whole tournament.
Yeah, she's fallen in love with the standing shot. She just loves a 2-footed standing shot. And with that, kind of the bigger defenses will kind of know what's going on. They haven't been bad shooting from 9 meters overall, so they're 16 from 32 shooting from 9 meters. I don't fully trust those stats. I think a couple of them you would count as breakthroughs and standing shots. In proper jump shots, I don't think they have been up to scratch. Mette Tranborg is only 2 from 6. Like, how is Mette Tranborg, who is the tallest player on the pitch, only taken 2 shots from 9 meters a game? That should be right up there. Their best player shooting from 9 meters has actually been Louisa Burgar. She's got 4 from 8. And we saw that in the game against Hungary, that when things got tight, it was her who actually just put in a rocket from 9 meters. And this is like, yes, you have to do that. And you'll have those moments where you need to do that. But at times it just feels like they're refusing to take those big jump shots to really open up the defenses. And that leads to these tight games that we've seen. So that's one thing they definitely need to do better and can do. I think they have a lot of star power in that backcourt. Someone just needs to realize that they're a star.
Do you think that's the problem that comes with having your goalkeeper as your big leader and your big voice in the team? That sometimes maybe the backcourt players take the back seat in that regard.
Yeah, maybe
Sandra Toft I'm talking about, obviously.
Yeah, but maybe it is that kind of, I don't need to be the player because I've got Sandra behind me. That thought in the back of their heads sometimes. It might not be how they're approaching it, but when tough times come, they're like, okay, we've got the best goalkeeper in the world, the best player in the world behind us. She'll pull us out, maybe. But I think it's also a big part of Jesper Jensen's system, this kind of all for one and one for all, total handball, transition play, all of that. But I still think in the tighter rounds, for them to get a medal, they're going to need to start scoring 9-meter shots, because that opens up the defense as well.
Just easier goals, Total handball is a really interesting kind of word for that, because there are in the old way we used to say about Arsenal, they're trying to walk the ball in. If they're not in, if they're not in counterattacks, they do try to do it perfectly. They're playing and playing and playing, and then sometimes you just need Tranborg or Hansen or Jorgensen or Burgard to just smack one in. Also, Mia Højlund can also shoot from the backcourt. I mean, the opening game against Slovenia, she was the only one who popped up with a couple of long-range shots. So, very, very good. But good news for Denmark, I have to say. After coming through their tough game last night, I saw Anna Mette Hansen, after doing an interview with Danish TV, head down to the dressing room with a crate of beers. So, I think they may be going to loosen up a little bit. They've got a few days off now. Maybe this is exactly what they needed to get through as a team. And they're looking in the long term. A team with a crate of beers at the Euro, I'm fully behind. They've got the right idea.
And now I have a wild choice for how they're going to win a gold medal. You can go two ways with this, but I've chosen to go one way, and they need to get their 7-on-6 working to win a gold medal. So their play, they're just about good enough right now to be up there, but they need something extra. And if it's not like a single player stepping up, it's the 7-on-6 tactic that Denmark have been practicing for a long time. That they've been building this 7-on-6 for a long time, and they've had a lot of success with it, but also a bit of failure. Against Slovenia, it was their big downfall. The 7-6 and the player up. People are starting to realize what they're going to do.
It was more the 6-on-5 though, I think, wasn't it? It was more the 6-on-5, the opposition has 2 minutes suspension. I don't think they've really unleashed 7v6 yet. Maybe they're holding on to it.
Yeah, but they've tried it. They've tried it a couple of times against Hungary. They tried it. It didn't quite work. It worked a little bit, but if they can get that going, that's their if in the tight games, they're always going to be in the tight game coming up to the end of the tournament. At 40 minutes, it's going to be tight. And maybe they fall a little bit behind against a team like Norway or France, who just have that extra power, I think. I think they just have that speed and can turn around 3-4 goals very quickly. And in that moment, if the 7-on-6 really works, that can get them back, get them the win, and get them to the top. Or they just abandon it completely. So there are two options.
I don't think they'll abandon it. I mean, I think Christina Jurgensen needs a game to fill up some confidence, and then maybe they need to give her some confidence, and then if she has that, the 7v6 I think could work pretty well, because she is crucial in that, and she hasn't really settled into this championship yet.
So I'll be interested to see in the main round first against Norway how they change things up, and if they get a fall back there, if they end up playing France in the semi-final, who France have their 5-1 defense against the 7-6, what happens there? That's one thing I'm really looking out for.
Very good.
All right, Chris.
Now we're on to Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. What Sweden need to do? Integrate Nina Koppang, I think, is one of the key things. They need a left-hander in that backcourt. Emil Lindqvist has done well, but sometimes you do need that proper width. I mean, there's very few teams that have managed to pull it off, playing 3 right-handers across the backcourt for a whole championship. Nina Koppang is only 20 years old, but very, very talented, and she needs some time to get into it. Hopefully she will during the main round. Another 20-year-old, Tira Axner. I'm not going to say they need to unleash her all the time. They need to unleash her at the right times to give something else to that backcourt. I think when Sweden have worked really well, it's been with a lot of speed and breaking teams down, and they've done that well. But when it didn't work, that's when you need to have a different look, and someone like Tira Axner there to throw in. She must be full of confidence at the moment. She just needs to keep that going. And pretty much everything, I think, for them is based on fixing things, small things in the attack. I think in defense, things are working pretty well for them. I think they need to create a bit more for the line players as well. It's something that, over the last couple of years, they've been known for having, recently considered, maybe the world's best line player duo in attack with Lindblom and Anna Lagerqvist. They're amazing in defense together, and they just need to be given a few more chances. Looking at the stats here, Lindblom has had 9 goals from 14 shots. Anna Lagerqvist has barely been used. She's 0 from 2 for the whole championship so far. Just creating a bit more for them, because teams, I think, are starting to react to the backcourt being this different beast. And before, maybe they were given a bit more space because the line players were so dangerous. Now it's flipping the other way around, and there's a bit more emphasis on the backcourt, which in turn should create opportunities for the line players. And I think they need to do that as well, because there's a bit too much pressure on the wing players. They need to play the ball into the line a little more. The wing is the last outlet for them, or maybe the first outlet for them. And there, where you have just Elin Hansson and Natalie Hogman in there, then you're only 2 wingers, really. It's a big ask for them to have to deliver every single day for the whole championship. It can work if they're being used 3, 4, 5 times in a game, but when they're shooting 20 times between them every match, then it's bound to fail at some point. It failed against Denmark, and it's bound to fail again. So maybe just a bit more variety. I mean, we've seen them at their very best with the speed in the backcourt, and now they need to be maybe a bit smarter about how they distribute the ball and how they distribute the players.
I think the right back question is it's huge for Sweden, because that was the issue in the first half against Denmark. They were terrible with the right-handed right back in play. It just didn't work, and maybe that was hidden by TRX there in the second half, where they just didn't even need they didn't need anyone else.
They didn't play the ball out there.
They just left everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's the huge question from my side, and I think I don't think they have a solution for that. So I really, I still said that they're going to beat Norway, but
but it won't be enough for gold.
But it won't be enough for gold.
They can beat Norway once, but they won't beat them twice. like in comparison to Denmark, in comparison to the other, let's say, outside of Norway and France, that group of teams, I don't think there's that much they need to change on a large scale. They just need to find the right balances in there. And yeah, Nina Koppang, I think they weren't expecting to have to use her as much as they will. But if there's no reason why another 20-year-old right back can't do the job. She's very, very talented. Also, the half-sister of Stina Blackstenius. Do you know that? The Arsenal and Sweden striker in women's football.
Yeah.
They're half-sisters. So there's good finishing in the blood there for Nina Koppang. She's going to have to play a big part. And hopefully, for their sake, she will.
It's really exciting in the main round. I think the teams we covered in depth all have real high potential for a final place. They're all at a really high level. We could end up with the same two teams in the final. I think this time around, I just see more and more challenges stacking up. So I'm really excited to see it. Let's get into the main round. Let's challenge Norway. See what they have. That's what I'm really excited. I want Norway to just get challenged. So let's see how that goes. And we'll be back for more podcasts as those games progress. And I'll be in Ljubljana with you, Chris.
Woo! Yes, by the time this is out, you'll be on a plane to Ljubljana, and then we'll be live on Twitch on Saturday and Sunday. So if you're missing us, even despite our daily or bi-daily podcasts, join us on the Home of Handball Twitch on Saturday and Sunday. Goodbye.